About 2 years ago, I got invited to a briefing session on social and emotional aspects of learning. It was quite a big project, but we were already looking at some of our Year 10 students who, across the board, whether they were A grade students or E grade students, were considerably underperforming. And what they had in common was low self-esteem and or poor attendance.
I had been bullied before, so was still like coming under the consequences of that.
I wouldn't used to put my hand up to answer questions even if I knew the answers because I was scared if I got it wrong.
Having been to the SEAL briefing, I realised that there were materials within that project that I could use in support of the girls. It wasn't really academically driven, but was more about giving them the life skills to cope with not only what school was throwing at them in terms of GCSEs, but also what they were going to encounter once they left here when they were 16.
And when we got asked to do it, I was a bit worried because I didn't really know anyone.
Yeah,
I didn't know who was going to do it. Yeah, I didn't talk to anyone.
We wanted to make it something different and something special, and as a consequence of that, we chose to meet here once a fortnight after school, one day a week, in our Beaufort conference suite, which is something which is entirely different from a classroom or anything to do with school. When we first got together, the very first meeting with Year 10, they wouldn't say a word. They were very quiet, they were very shy, they didn't know one another, they didn't know me that well. They weren't necessarily students that I've taught as they've come up through the school. But what we tried to do was to concentrate on team building exercises. We talked a lot about, in the early days, about the images of women in magazines and on television. And that actually seemed to break the ice for a lot of them. Because they had something sort of tangible to talk about.
And it has allowed her to see different people in a situation that she wouldn't ordinarily be in. And it helped her to mix with people and to listen to people.
We went to Lainston House, and I found this helpful because it was a different environment to the school.
It was quite high risk because it is a very formal environment. It was afternoon tea, but it was sitting at a table. It was being served by waiters. None of the students had any sort of experience, if you like, of anything like it.
And I saw that I could be accepted into another company of people and didn't have to be among my favourite people all the time.
And their response was amazing. They were obviously quite uncomfortable to start with. But we went from 12 students who sat there looking around this room thinking, what am I doing here? To 12 students who went out in the garden and were laughing and shrieking and taking photographs of one another.
I drove up to the hall and saw Louise and her friends running down like one of those old-fashioned films, and all I heard her was going, "That's my mum!"
And also I think the project that they particularly enjoyed was working with the Year 7 girls, being introduced to them when they were in Year 6, when they came up for their induction days, and then working with them over the course of this year.
I managed to see how them go through the year and counsel them through any problems, and because they don't really think they have anybody to talk to and they may have problems they don't want to go and see a teacher about.
The girls have been a huge support to them and have used their own experiences both from primary school and lower down in Henry Beaufort School to actually guide the girls towards help, whether it was adult help that they needed, or just to reassure them that some of the feelings that they had were quite normal and it was just a part of transition, and that they would actually find friends and flourish. When I sort of asked the teachers of the girls what they've noticed, they talk about the girls being happier, far more confident, considerably more self-assertive. They're certainly not quiet in group sessions anymore, which is a good thing.
Yes, but I have become more confident, but not only confident in myself, but with other people.
I think it's easier for other people to talk to me because I'll probably answer them rather than sit there all quietly.
I can approach somebody and ask them a question. I can approach someone in town and ask for the time without feeling silly or stupid.
Louise has benefited. She's become more confident. She has been able to express herself better. She has felt that she can approach the staff more easily. and she has made a lot more friends that she might perhaps wouldn't have before.
I feel more organised, and I've revised a lot more because I'm not a very organised person, so I didn't really make time for revision, but I realised now that I really should try, so I'm more organised.
Inevitably, with any project like this, you're going to have some kind of data and evidence to prove that it has made a difference. All the girls are now either at their target level or overperforming. The majority of them now are looking at least 5 grade C's or above.
I can deal with things a lot easier, and like with my exams, I know what I've got to do to like get my grades, and I'm able to like organise my time so that I can deal with my revision and just basically any problems I have.
That year, even like at the beginning of year 11, I didn't think that I was going to be able to get the grades I needed. I've made a really big improvement, and you can see that with the marks and the grade.
She knows now what she wants to do. Her aims have gotten much higher. You know, before this she was quite happy to sail along. She didn't know what she wanted to do after GCSEs. She really thought she'd probably get D's in GCSEs. Now she really feels she wants to work harder, and she knows now that she can get the C grades and the B grades. Before it was, if only I could get C grades and B grades. Now it's a question, it's like, oh, I can do this and I'm going to do this.
And we went from a situation when probably 5 out of the 12 girls were considering going on to college, where actually now 10 of them have applied and been accepted for college places.
Yes, because I think she'd probably speak to people now that she probably wouldn't have approached before. She, especially when she's probably going to go to college and hopefully university, and I don't feel that she would have perhaps felt as confident in doing that without the group.
And now I want to help children and help to change their lives and work in the school instead of just limiting myself to the smallest possible job.
And I feel if I had to sum up what SEAL has done for these 12 girls, and hopefully will go on to do for many others as we roll this out through the years, is the opportunity for students to discover who they are and, more importantly, what they can be.